The house of God is the place where God's people can come, and as we said this morning, and find good counseling. We read in our lesson this morning in Psalms 1 how there's a blessing to those that seek the counseling of God's people, from God's people. The blessing is, as the verse says, blessed are those that walk not in the counsel of the ungodly. So there's a blessing to those that walk in God's counsel. David had a deep affection for the house of God. This was a man who, deep within him, wanted to build a house for God's people, and a place where the ark of God can have a resting place, a place where the people of God can come and worship God, a place where the Spirit of God can dwell, a house where the Spirit of God can dwell, where the people of God can come and refresh themselves. Everyone should have that affection to be in the house of God, to worship God, but also to encourage one another, and to uplift one another, to strengthen one another. I strengthen you, you strengthen me. You encourage me, I encourage you. We're one another's keeper, our brother's keeper. We continue to watch out for one another. And so we come to the house of God for that purpose. And I believe David had such thing in mind. So much that this man would give much more than just being present. Not just longing to be there, but give of his own substance beyond measure to the house of God. Sometimes we can just give the limit, and at times no one wants to give more. Even in workplaces we find that, where a person will just do what they're told to do, that's it, and will not do any more. I work on this line here, or I'm responsible for that, I'm not responsible for this here, and so they won't touch it. You find that in workplace. Well, in God's house, it should not be like that. Hear what we learn from David in 1 Chronicles 29 and verse 3. Moreover, he said, because I have set my affection to the house of my God, I have of mine own proper good, of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my God, over and above all that I have prepared for the holy house. David did not build this house. David made great preparation to build this house. David was told that he could not build that house. His son would. But David made sure that all the necessary things, all the things that was necessary for the building of that house, decorating of that house, was in place. Even the workers, David got. And we must have that kind of an affection for God's house. When we call upon to serve, we must be ready to serve. We must be ready before we're called. We must be actively involved in working for God and for His people. Every one of us here do have a responsibility. Israel was called to such responsibility. Every one of them, they were called to serve. So are we in God's house. We're not called from this world just to sit and relax and enjoy the free ride. No. We're called to serve. We're called to active duty. And it's up to you and me to respond to that duty. David responded well. David had a desire in his heart, and David acted upon it. And when we have a desire, and we bring it before God, and we receive God's blessing, good things happen. I'll never forget the first day we saw this place. I was never, for one moment, thought the work was too much. I saw in the morning, I boarded a plane the evening to go to England. Corresponded with Brother Ken and Sister Tiffany. I'm on. That's the place we're going to get. We had a lot of work here to do. But I see men who are not of this faith, but it's doing so much to make us even more comfortable here. And I can speak of one person that I truly believe we need to honestly pray for the work that he is doing for us and for the house of God. More than what many of us is doing in terms of physical work, in terms of getting things ready for us. This man will come here and defrost that fridge for us and clean it up. We need to pray, earnestly pray. And I ask all God's people to pray for this man. You know who I'm speaking about, you that sit before me. But there are those that do not know and might be listening to this. I'll share his name with you. It's Wayne. I call him Brother Wayne sometimes. I feel so close to him. And I know we all feel that way. And I call upon all God's people to pray for this man and his family. There must be something greater in store for him as for all of us. But we see the affection here that David had. We must all have the same kind of affection to come here every Sabbath. I'm sure David wished he could live on to be in God's house and in that temple that was built. But we see what happened to Israel and the temple. They showed no respect for it. And we ought to learn from their mistake. They lost that prized treasure that was built for them. Turn with me to Psalms 26 and verse 8. David again, Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house, and the place where thine honor dwelleth. God must be honored here. If God is with us, if God is in this place, he must feel honored to dwell with us. And I know he is here. I know we honor God. How do I know that? Well, the people that honor God always show obedience and respect, keep his commandments, and the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is how we know we honor God. When we show that love to him. And David said, I love the habitation of thy house. Can we say the same? I know we the temple of God, because the Spirit of God indwells each and every one of us. But we believe as well that when a place is sanctified for God's purpose and for holy purposes, the Spirit of God also dwells there.